I'm having a hard time disciplining myself. I particularly struggle to establish a schedule. There's two things you could do. First of all, the first thing you might want to do is figure out why you want to make a schedule to begin with. So you talked about goals. Well, what is it that you want to accomplish? You have to figure out what you want. And then you have to figure out how to decompose what you want into actionable steps, right? And those would be the sorts of things that you could put in a schedule. Now, that would mean that your schedule would hypothetically consist of things that maybe you don't exactly want to do, although that would be good, but at least you understand the importance of doing and are therefore somewhat motivated to do. And then you need to break those steps down into small enough increments that you're highly likely to undertake them. So for example, this is a trivial example, maybe you have to do a report on a given topic for school and you're not very good at that. Well, maybe you could go to the library one day and just check out the library. That might be enough. And then maybe you could go to the library and take out a book. And then maybe you could open the book and look through it. Those would be on different days. And then maybe you could sit down and read the first page of the book. And if you can't do that, then the first paragraph. You have to negotiate with yourself and figure out what the largest step you would take towards your goal is that you would take. And if you don't do it, then you make the steps smaller and smaller until you find something that you would do.
Take it as a challenge. Everything that hurts you, find a way to overcome it. Everything that you feel is difficult for you, find a way to still do it. As long as you can do the things, stop listening to the mind. It's like also in the morning, at least for me it is similar like this. When I'm lying in the bed and the alarm goes on, for example, if I'm trying to convince myself, just 5 more minutes, it's a bad idea. Yeah, so that's why I really got used to it rings and then it's really like, in a way, I try to get out of bed as quick as possible. Then it's done. But in the moment where I start to get comfortable again, it becomes just more difficult. It's because that mind always wants to trick you and test you and challenge you if there's not something that he can still readjust you. No, but discipline in a way really means it rings, wake up. Because that feeling of not wanting to wake up, that feeling of, but it's hard, I'm tired, whatever, it will pass after some time. And there is no other way than just learning to get over things like this. That's it. We all have it here. It's just that we also know there is a price if you don't do it, and there's a price if you do it. And it's just up to you to decide which of those two paths of development would you like to be in.
And I'm reading a book is where I found this case study. My dad turned me on to the book. It's called The Switch. Really good book. I suggest you reading it. But what they did in this case study is they took 20 people. They had them not eat for a while. And then they had them come in a room. They divided them into half, 10 here and 10 here. All of them pretty hungry by now, right? So they say, hey, you 10, we're gonna give you some chocolate chip cookies, man. And go ahead and enjoy them. So they bring out this bowl of fucking warm chocolate chip cookies right out of the oven. They're smelling good, they're gooey, and these 10 people are eating them and loving them. And like, this is great, The other 10 motherfuckers told you can't eat them. They're drooling in and shit, man. They want some of that cookie. But no, they're told you can't have them. So they have to sit there and use up their willpower to fight the urge. Because they're hungry and it smells good and, but they know they can't, so they don't. What they get is a fucking cold, sorry-ass bowl of radishes. Fucking radishes, man. Who the fuck would eat a radish? I don't think I ever have. I'd rather starve than eat a fucking radish. That's their option. These guys over there eating the moist, Nestle Toll Houses, and I got some fucking radish right out of the garden. This is fucked up. That's how I would be thinking. Pissed off. 20 minutes of that goes by, they pull the food out and they go, guys, we got one more study for you guys, if you guys don't mind. They give everybody a pad of paper. That pad of paper is about, 50 pages. Each page the same, being a maze. They say, hey, I want you guys to start the pen and try to work your way out to the finish line. If you can't get it, no problem, rip it off and go again. And keep on trying until you get it. They go, cool. So the guys that were eating the chocolate chip cookies, went into it feeling good, full and everything else. Boom, trying, okay, kept going. 30, 40 times they tried it. What they didn't know is that maze was unwinnable. There was no solution to the system. It was made to be always failed. What they were testing is how many tries they would do. The people with chocolate chip cookies did it about 30 or 40 times. You know how many times these radish people did it? Average of 4 times before they said, fuck it, this doesn't work. And why is that? Because they just used up all that willpower in not eating the chocolate chip cookies. They only had so much left to work with. And they go into an unsolvable situation, which they don't know, but they try it a few times and they're out of willpower. Fuck it, this thing doesn't work. They're out of here, pissed off. Willpower, depreciating asset. Meaning you only have so much of it. So therefore, it's imperative, guys, that when you embark on a change, and that willpower is your dedication, your sacrifice, your due diligence, your sweat equity, your work ethic, all of that is your willpower. The internal drive of combustion. You want to make the most of it, have an explosion of it. So we go after our demons, these enemies that are in our way of where we want to be, the person we want to be, these walls that we have to hurdle and get around, these parasites are stopping us. We want to make the most of our willpower. So we attack them at their weakest state. That's the only way we'll have enough willpower to succeed. It's like a firecracker, guys. You put a firecracker in your hand and light it. It might burn you, but you still have a hand. You put that same firecracker in there, that same energy source, same size, and you close your hand on it, engulfing that firecracker. When it explodes, it'll probably take your hand off. That's what we want to do with our willpower. Being smart, knowing it's a depreciating asset. It's not that we're lazy that we stop, it's because we're exhausted. The tank is run dry. We're in our car and we fill up the tank. We're not driving across the country on one tank. We have to refill up. If we know that going into it, then we're not going to expect to be able to drive the entire country in one tank of gas. We're not going to expect December 31st to go to sleep and wake up and be able to fight 5 different wars of change in one day. We know we don't have the willpower to do that. So we pick one and we defeat it until the willpower needed to drive the change is replaced with love and passion, because we've done it long enough to see the light at the end of the tunnel, to see who we are with a cleared sense of vision. That cleared sense of vision is when the voices of the parasites, the diseases, aren't talking, trying to convince us we need them. We've beaten them day by day by day, that big giant enemy inside of us. We've beaten over and over, and it's getting smaller and smaller and weaker and weaker and weaker. And all of a sudden it doesn't have much strength anymore. So it requires less willpower for us to defeat it. It's a winnable situation. And what's happening is clearing up our thought process. We're not chemically addicted to something. We're all messed up, We're not feeling lethargic and lazy on the couch because we did go to the gym. We're not eating that hamburger. We're going with a lean chicken. We're seeing the results, man. We're putting the supply and the great nutrition after a hard workout with the chicken, seeing the body grow, knowing we are the master of our own fate now. We're not subservient to these enemies of weakness and addictions and everything that's holding up the change of evolution of greatness we can be where we hit max potential. You start to see how great it is out there without these vices, these handicaps that we self-created. And then what happens is we love who the fuck we are, and we love the direction we're going, never looking back, just looking forward and smiling the whole way. And it becomes involuntary. We don't even think about it. It's no longer work to keep that change alive. It's habitual. When once habitual and demise of our efforts, we've now changed it up with willpower in a habitual pattern of success.